All right, we are back on Media Estate. My name is Duke Mwesigwa, and today I'm hosting the party president of Forum for Democratic Change, Mr. Patrick Oboi Amuriat. President, it's a pleasure to host you today.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. I am happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. President, immediately just start what is happening in at the party. The party has been hit by a lot of information that you guys received money from State House before the 2021 elections. Is that true?
Well, first of all, just for viewers, it's important to note that parties will always, like any other organization, have difficulties. They will have controversies, pulling and pushing. What is most important in our case is that how do we resolve this issue? Now, the issue that is at the moment prominent in the conversation within the FDC is whether or not what is now commonly known as dirty money came to the FDC. Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, as head of the party, I do not know of any dirty money that came. But be that as it may, it was within the wisdom of the National Council, which brings chairpersons in a meeting with the National Executive Committee, chairpersons of our party from across the country, to a meeting to decide, take decisions on behalf of the organization. And so at one of those meetings, a red flag was raised by our founding father, Colonel retired Dr. Kizza Besigye, on account of the possibility that what we call dirty money now, money coming from Mr. Museveni, because we don't consider that being clean, was received by some members within the leadership of the FDC ahead of the election of 2021. And so this is a matter that has come under investigation. From the same National Council, an elders committee was constituted, and this elders committee was charged with the role of carrying out investigations on that allegation. A number of leaders within our ranks, including myself, Secretary General, Dr. Kizza Besigye, who raised the red flag, Treasurer General and others, interacted with that committee. And the committee has now written a report whose findings will be released tomorrow at a pre-scheduled National Council meeting.
I saw you in different media talks, and you say that you can't reveal the source of this money.
Well, I think that it's not just about this particular money, where the money was found. Some sources have already been revealed where the contributors were willing to be mentioned as contributors towards our effort. It has been, however, a common practice, an agreed upon practice, that where the person funding or giving money to our organization does not want to be mentioned, wants to remain confidential, then the identities of that person are not going to be revealed. And this has been the case from the inception of the party, from the time the party was formed, and it's been maintained as such. And so why this is done is that there are people who may be in positions, some of them probably working with the current regime, who feel for us, who feel for the country and want to make a contribution. These people in those positions could be endangered if their identities were revealed. And so we have maintained that as a practice, and therefore, even in the case of the probe, it will be possible to reveal the sources of money, where those who contributed towards the election of 2021 want this to be revealed openly, but it will not be possible to reveal every source of income.
You as the president, don't you think this will be handled more internally than coming out in the media?
Well, it's very, very unfortunate that the dynamics that are playing out currently in the party shows that some people really wanted this to go public. And now that it's in public, the discussion or the debate is in the public view. we could not avoid this because it was mentioned but also made worse when a section of our own leaders decided to go to a meeting in Zambia, in Kampala, to begin to interrogate what the committee was actually in the process of finalizing. And that is very, very unfortunate. But my understanding is that such things happen when there is a competition, when there is election in sight. And just to let viewers know, the FDC is going to the polls to elect leaders in November this year, precisely 24th and 25th of November. So we are busy with grassroots elections at the moment, and I think the heat that this is generating is something that causes some members to try to undercut others.
Speaking about elections, the elections you've just held, it showed a lot of turnout, and in most parts of the country, there were no voting. There were no polling agents, there were no voting materials whatsoever.
Well, that is really something that the Electoral Commission will need to explain. Like in any other election.
Are you going to consider this election as a valid one?
There are areas where elections took place and took place properly.
Yeah.
To discredit that election is really being unfair to those who turned out to vote. Now, when you talk about low voter turnout, you are considering that probably the election in the village has got a huge number. We know that in villages we have between 100 and probably a maximum of 300 voters. And of those, they are members of other political parties. Our concentration was not to look for everybody or every voter in a village. Our concentration was our members. So if in a village we have 3 members, we go with them.
In the village?
Yes, if that is what we have. If in a village we have got 100 people, that is the number that we go with. And this is very common across the world.
What does the Constitution say about the low voter turnout?
No, it says nothing.
It says nothing.
That is the number we recognize. You know, I will give an example of the democratic system in the United Kingdom. In the UK, where there are 45 million voters, those are voters.
Yeah.
The ruling Conservative Party has got 200,000 registered members. Only. The Labour Party, that is the main opposition party in the UK, has got 400,000. And they have no problem about that. Now, what needs to be understood by people following the politics of our country and the politics of the world is that there is a distinction between members of a party and supporters. Whereas you could have a thin membership, what that membership should aspire to do is to win over support. Just like you can have agents running around. You just have one agent, running around the village, and because he's potent or she's potent enough, they are going to be clever enough to win over support to the party. And so we could have millions of supporters who may not be members of the party.
Yes.
Now, people participating in this particular election are not supporters, not necessarily supporters.
Yeah.
We are focusing on members of the party. And for you to be a member of the party, you have to belong to
must have a card.
A village. No, not even a card. You have got to be in the register of the village. It's just like going into a school system. You apply to become a member. We have got under Schedule 2 of our Constitution an application form. You are accepted.
Yeah.
Not to join the political party as a member. Then you get into the register. And after getting to the register, you are issued with a card. And so once the registers have been made and we know the number of members that we have per village, it will be easy to ask those members to make their contribution, which is a minimum of 1,000, in order for them to acquire cards.
Why do you think that the Katonga faction and the Najanankumbi faction are not coming together to work together for to push the common agenda? Why do you think they have parallel programs compared to the party programs?
Well, I really do not want to segregate this organization into or define it as Katonga or Najanankumbi. We just have one party. The party is FDC. And you know, whatever our members do, wherever they are, they know they are answerable to Najanankumbi, and that is where the leadership sits. The People's Government, that is headed by our founding father, Dr. Kiza Besigye, upon an understanding with the establishment in Najanankumbi, is basically focusing on other ways other than elections to bring change to this country. Now, sometimes controversies arise, especially, you know, about who reports to who, what kind of relationship we should maintain. But this is really something that is simple to iron out.
Where do you think that the reporting should be? Should it be in Katonga or should it be to you as the party president?
Well, on matters of the party, the reporting should be done in the party headquarters. I think the confusion arises from the fact that it is the same members who are FDC who are dominantly, in the People's Government. And just for status, it's important to know that the Katonga is the headquarters of our Defiance wing, and that it's not only exclusively occupied by...
Why can't it be structured in the party organs?
And that is where I'm going. Not everybody who goes to Katonga is a member of the FDC. Everybody who comes to the FDC is a member of the FDC. If they come as members. Of course, we have visitors who come to Najanankumbi, but you know, the people who report to Najanankumbi are members of the FDC. This does not discount the fact that some members, or majority members of the FDC also participate in the activities of Katonga, because they are the dominant number. They're about, I would say, about 98% of FDC constitute what is going on in Katonga. The others are the other smaller organizations that subscribe to the same school of thought that is espoused in Katonga.
There are some members who held the Nsambia press conference. Are you going to subject them to the disciplinary committee?
So long as there is a complaint, we have processes to go through.
Because they breached the party rules.
It's really very unfortunate that they did that. And I think we are going to do one thing at a time. Let's first of all receive the report that came earlier, see what is in the report before we take action, if any, against those who broke the rules, who are perceived to have broken the rules of the FDC and violated the Constitution.
Some of your critics are saying that you want to sell the party FDC to NRM, Mr. Museveni.
I think that my critics do not understand how FDC works. Because if they did know, they should have known that it is impossible to sell the FDC. An individual alone cannot do that. Whatever, no matter his size, no matter the position that individual holds, it is impossible to sell FDC. Individuals can live, as we have seen before. And you know, when they go alone. They may go with probably 10 or 20 of their followers. Yeah. But you know, it is impossible.
It's impossible
because of the deep roots that we have maintained in the FDC. For an individual to load the party into a truck, as you know, some people figuratively said yesterday or the other day, and take it to Museveni, it's absolutely impossible. This is a political organization that has a spread and a depth in this country, and it would be an absolute dream by Mr. Museveni to think he can pay individuals or groups of individuals to take away the FDC.
As the opposition, you're tearing apart yourselves. There's a new faction, is emerging, the MK movement. Is emerging with a big force. What is your opinion about the MK movement?
I think that this is a plot by Mr. Museveni, first of all, to die in power. And once he dies in power, to have a member of his family succeed him. This is, you know, what is going on. We all know that The MK project is a diversion.
It's a mere diversion?
There is, it is a diversion, I believe, because this is why you see Mr. Museveni's people dressed in yellow confronting, members of the MK project, as you have seen in the footages recently. It is both a diversion, but also a safety valve for the Museveni family. A diversion in the sense that the MK project seems to be gathering young people for the sole purpose of helping Museveni to appeal to the young people in the election of 2026, in which I believe if Museveni is alive and healthy, or even if his health is wanting, he will still want to be a candidate in that election. Now, in the event that Mr. Museveni is not there, by whatever reason, then the safety valve is opened. And that safety valve, as some people have expressed, standby generator, will now be fired, and the MK project would have gained traction by the time they come to the people and ask for their mandate.
Power, for you who has been like an election, as you wind up, who has been in an election before, Dr. Kizza Besigye keeps saying that an election alone cannot oust President Museveni from power. For you who has been in an election before, do you think an election can remove President Museveni in power?
I think you need to talk about 7 elections, not just an election. At the last election, I was presidential candidate, but the previous ones have run for national leadership. Yeah. And so I think that I agree with Dr. Kizza Besigye that an election in and by itself cannot remove Mr. Museveni from power. But I do believe that, and I think that Dr. Kizza Besigye also subscribes to this school of thought, that it is necessary to participate in elections in order for us to continue and consistently and in a stronger manner engage the population of Uganda, in order to empower them, to embolden them. Because, by the way, the space that is given to political organizations in this country is narrowing. And so it's important that we take advantage of every political space that is available for us to be able to reach the population. Otherwise, if we sat in our offices, we would not be able to empower the population. Through an election also, sometimes we gain a little bit of dividends in form of having a few elected leaders who can be useful in propelling the struggle against dictatorship in this country forward.
As you wind up, Mr. President, we are waiting for the report. If it comes out that you are also a culprit, will you step down as the party president?
We will all go through the disciplinary mechanisms. Those who are found to be culpable will have to face the heat. President? It depends on the necessity for me to do that. Most likely that will be pronounced by the National Council tomorrow when the report is received and debated. And so I cannot speculate. This is the very first time that we are experiencing these upheavals within the organization that I lead. And I think let us just give it time. We are all holding our breath to see what happens tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. President Patrick Oboi Amuriat. My name is Duke Mwesigwa here on Media Estate. It's been a pleasure hosting President of FDC, Patrick Oboi Amuriat.
Thank you very much for having me.
Have a lovely time.